Hey guys, this is Miss Walters. Today's Monday, March the 30th. Before going through today's PowerPoint, be sure that you go into Teams and you do today's attendance quiz. It's located in Teams on the general page. The first thing you see is you click into Teams, or you can also find it in assignments. Make sure that you go through and you submit that so that I can count you for today's attendance. We are not doing a live video chat today. Instead, we will be doing a PowerPoint that I've pre-recorded and placed here for you. So we will be doing a video chat tomorrow, so hang tight. And if you have questions or any concerns, you can always let me know that way. Or you can always send me an email today because I am on Teams with you. I'm just not live and in person. So let's begin today's discussion. Okay, so um, on Friday, you were supposed to do questions 1 through 5 of the Unit 8 study guide. I need you to pull out today's study guide out now, and we're going to go over each question together. Be sure that you correct your answers as we go through the questions, and you can, of course, stop this as we go. It's not one of these things where you have to keep going. You can stop and pause this PowerPoint as we go along. The first question we had is, what is global interdependence? Global interdependence is the worldwide dependence of countries on one another economically and culturally. So it means that global interdependence is countries depend on each other for trade, economics, culture, back and forth. So it's very interdependent on each other. So we depend on each other for a lot of stuff. France and England and the United States and China and Russia, we're dependent on each other for trade and culture and whatnot. Number 2, what are at least 3 global issues facing nations of the world today? Well, we know one, and it is disease is definitely one. Hunger, poverty, terrorism is a big one. Right now, the big issue in the forefront is, of course, the coronavirus. But we also have issues with climate change, global warming, and pollution. These are just a few issues that we face today. What is a government organization? And you were supposed to give me 2 examples. A government organization is an entity created by treaty involving 2 or more nations to work in good faith on issues of common interest. Is an organization that comes out of a country that's based that the country's government kind of runs. So the United Nations is a government organization. That means all governments of the world, they're involved in this organization. China, United States, Russia, England, France, Italy, Turkey, they're all, the governments of these countries are involved in this organization. So the United Nations, NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, this is the alliance between the United States and their allies against Russia and their allies. The World Bank, countries can take out loans with this bank. The European Union, this is a union of countries in Europe. They band together to do better, to do well with economics, trade. Dealing with, it's more of an more of an economic alliance, but the governments, they're involved. World Court, this is where countries go to court against one another, or so they can deal with issues with each other instead of going to military combat or whatever. And then WHO, the World Health Organization. This WHO, the World Court, and World Bank all come out of the United Nations. They're all part of the United Nations, so is UNICEF. And they work for, separate things, but it's governments that work in there to come, to try to work out situations to get things done. So the World Health Organization right now is the big thing in the news in dealing with the coronavirus in the United States and China and Russia, Italy, Iran, and other places. And the World Trade Organization is another one as well. So that deals with trade. But this is all governments. Now, a non-governmental organization is an entity that deals with specific global issues that's funded and ran privately. There is no government involvement. They can make donations and stuff, but they're not involved. This is a privately run and funded um, organization. So the Red Cross, the Lutheran Relief Fund, Greenpeace, which is about pollution, and World Wildlife Fund, Doctors Without Borders. These are all privately funded organizations around the world that are not part of governments. Governments can, make donations to these things and help contribute, but they are not ran by governments. They are privately ran. And probably one of the biggest ones here is the Red Cross. Number 5, you were supposed to take this chart, NATO, European Union, World Bank, World Health Organization, and the United Nations, and you were supposed to fill out the chart in why does it exist or its purpose, and an example of something it's done. So let's look at each one of these very quickly. We have first NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, was created in 1949 to it was more or less a result of the Cold War with the United States and our allies versus the Soviet Union, Russia at that time, Soviet Union, Russia now, and their allies. And the NATO was created so that we agreed that we would protect each other in case of attack by Russia and their allies. And some of the members of NATO is the United States, England, and France. And an example of something that it has done, and even today, was Operation Ocean Shield, where they used naval ships to fight off pirates, yes, pirates, off the Horn of Africa. If you remember, there was that movie with Tom Hanks in it. What was it called? Captain Phillips, where they were off the coast, I want to say Africa, and their ship was taken over by pirates. Not our pirates, but you know what I mean. European Union. It was founded in 1951. There's 27 members. They were created to avoid conflict within Europe by making each other dependent on each other. One of the things they did, the big thing, was that they all agreed to use the same type of currency called the euro. So making them dependent on each other economically. And I think a good example of this would be the European Union has sent aid workers to the Caribbean to help people after hurricanes. World Bank. The World Bank was created in 1944. It helps poor, middle-income countries get money for improvements to reduce poverty. They helped Mexico start a program that gave out free light bulbs, fluorescent light bulbs, and discounts for replacing old appliances. That's just one of the things that they've done. I'm sure that they have given loans and assistance to other countries throughout the world. That's just an example. The World Health Organization was founded in 1948. It works to improve health around the world. Right now, they are the big pushing force in all the countries around the world in helping set up testing and helping deal with the coronavirus. And another example of the WHO is they set up a rehydration center in Yemen, which is in northeastern Africa, after a drought. So a water center to help the people of Yemen. And then last but not least is the United Nations. It was created in 1945. Their big purpose is keeping peace, developing friendly relations, and improving quality of life. And one of the things that they have done, and this is just one of many, is they sent peacekeeping forces to the Congo, which is in Africa, to restore the rule of law. A civil war had broken out in that country, and the United Nations sent peacekeeping forces to help bring peace to that area. Now, that was questions 1 through 5. Now, your job is to continue on in your study guide and to answer questions 6 through 9. We will have a review over these questions tomorrow in class, and do expect to see 1 of 2 or 3 or all of these questions on your attendance quiz tomorrow. So you need to go in here and answer these questions. What is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights? It's part of the United Nations. That I'll tell you. But what is it? What was the Cold War? Give me the year, who's involved, what was the purpose of it, what came out of it. And number 8, what are the proper steps in foreign policy or diplomacy when you're dealing with other countries? Do you remember we did an activity in class where we had all these scenarios thrown at us, and you guys were your own little countries. Some of you were Rohan, some of you were Westeros, some of you were Wakanda, and you had these scenarios thrown at you where you were asked, what do we do? And some of the choices you had was, we're going to do sanctions, we're going to have talks, we're going to use military force. So what are the proper steps of dealing with other countries? And you might want to look back. I believe that was in one of your handouts that we dealt with this question. And then last but not least, what are the powers of each branch of government in foreign policy? So we know, and I'll go ahead and tell you that the force to be reckoned with in foreign policy is the executive branch. The executive branch is the force to be reckoned with in foreign policy. However, the legislative branch has a power or two here where they can they have a little say. And then, of course, bless their heart, the judicial branch, they have a little bit of say, but not much. So I believe we did an activity on this, and it's in your notebooks, and you should be able to go back and look at that as well. But I'm sure that you could probably go and Google this as well and find something that you can use. Be sure to finish these questions. We will, of course, like I said before, we're going to have a review tomorrow over these questions in the daily attendance quiz. You will, of course, be allowed to use your notes as you answer them. Don't forget, we're going to video chat tomorrow. It won't be a long, extensive video chat. It'll just be kind of like, how's everybody doing? Do you have any questions? What can I help you with? What are we looking towards as this Friday? If you have any questions, of course, you can always send me a remind message, or you can email me. And this is my email here on this page. Though, of course, if you have Outlook, which is a part of your Teams, where you can go in and click into your email, you can find me pretty easily. Until tomorrow, I hope everybody has a great day and take care.